Hello, my chillins. All right, so this is the Austrian Audio OC818 microphone. Now, why is that important? Well, I've owned this microphone for about 3 years, and it's great. I've used it on vocals. I've used it on acoustic guitar. I think a variety of stuff in my studio. But it has an option that I never delved into. And I did it yesterday, and on your screen you will see, as I've discussed before, this is a picture of the setup of this mic recording my 8-string dobro. And that's important because this mic can be pseudo stereo, because the people at Austrian Audio are brilliant. This is crazy. Okay, so you have your traditional XLR output, right? From the bottom of the mic out. Okay. From this side, you have a dongle. And that dongle goes along here to, and it's even got a clip to hold the cable in place. And that goes to another XLR. So yes, my friends, this microphone can record in sort of stereo, both sides of this mic. Now, you might say, oh, well, a figure of 8 does that. And yes, this mic can do figure of 8. But no, this is recording in stereo out of both sides of the mic. The trick is, and I will show you this all in a second, the trick is there's a switch right here. It might be hard to see. You put that switch in the middle. It's got one cardioid pattern and then a dark cardioid on the other side of it. You put that switch in the middle, and that is when it's recording on both sides of the mic. Now, you might say, why didn't you point the mic upwards and down? Well, for a couple of reasons, and that's a good question. Thank you for asking. The first one is, if it was in figure of 8, this would be the null point, right? Okay, but it's in stereo. But I don't want to risk this canceling anything out if both sides are being recorded, right? So I wanted it to be, because you never know, right? So you might be picking up a little bit on the edge. I don't know if you've ever tested mics with null points, but you know, some of them are better than others, but you will pick up a little tiny bit on the null point, even in figure of 8 or what have you. I didn't want to risk that. I wanted this to be as live as possible and pick up both sides. As you can see from that photo again, that photo will kind of you'll get that. I put the mic in the position on the dobro where it was between the resonator and between the fretboard, and I wanted it to pick up anything in between. I didn't want it to necessarily cancel it out. That might not work that way. Maybe somebody from Austrian Audio will see this and chime in. But I didn't want to take any chances, so I put it like this, and I listened to it, of course, and auditioned it, and it sounded great. So I stuck with that. Now, the next thing I will show you is how the dongle and the regular XLR work in conjunction. First thing I should point out, though, before we go any further, is that this signal out of the regular XLR will be hotter than the signal out of the dongle. But that's the way any old stereo mic would work. In fact, the first recording I did in this series of duets with 8-string dobro and 8-string lap steel was with a vintage ribbon mic. And let me tell you, the backside of that ribbon, the equivalent of the stereo, so the main stereo's up front and the other one, it was like it was a Bang & Olufsen, so it was like, it was the basis for the Royer ribbon, pretty much, the design-wise. Anyway, the back half of it was significantly lower in output. So you had to balance that. What do? Well, they're split on 2 XLRs. So, you know, you put them into your DAW or your preamp, and one is higher than the other. And I'll show you that right now. So this is mine. So this is one. We're almost at noon. And then the backside is, I would say about 30% hotter. That we need to put more gain in. So that's how that worked. Why is all this important? Well, I'm going to show you the session and the plugin and app, if you will, that they designed to take these two signals and have them be stereo. You can adjust the polar patterns in post. It's amazing and makes EQing the instrument you're recording that much better, gives it more depth, more definition, easier to EQ, sits in the mix better. So watch this. Okay, so you'll see here, I've highlighted dobro left, dobro right. Now, the first trick you got to do, and not enough people have showed this in depth or as succinctly and quickly as I would have liked when I was searching for this on the web. However, it's not really that hard to do, so I'm going to show you. So you take your two tracks, left and right, and there they are right here. And you send them, see, I've got them going to bus 3940. I could have named it OC818 bus, but that's how that works. And then this is the OC818 bus that the two tracks left and right, both sides of that mic, are being fed to this bus. It's just an auxiliary bus like you would do with any other mixing scenario, except in this one, you send them to that bus, and Austrian Audio has their own plugin called Polar Designer. And yes, you can pick which polar pattern you want based on the frequencies that you choose. Yes, you can adjust the low and high of each frequency. So for instance, from 20 hertz to 120 hertz, that's what I've designated as low. From 120 to 599, that's my low mid. My high mid goes from 599 to 2220, and so on and so forth. And as you see, the lows, I chose to have an omnidirectional pattern. And then for the low mids, what sounded best was a cardioid pattern. And then the upper mids, it was supercardioid. And then omni for the next two. So here we are, omni, cardioid, supercardioid, omni, omni. And you design it. But wait a minute, you don't just have the ability to do that. You have the ability down here, which I'll show with the mouse here, right? You can raise the frequencies or subtract those frequencies. So I'm boosting, almost a dB in the lows, but I'm subtracting 1.8 dB in the low mids. I'm not touching the mid mids. The upper mids, I'm subtracting, again, almost a dB, 0.9, and then I'm boosting 2.3 in the highs. Furthermore, you can reduce the proximity effect, proximity control. I'm subtracting 0.32. That's what sounded best to me. And you can save these as presets. You can do the equalization control as off, as free field, or diffuse field. It's amazing. This tool here and that mic with that dongle with two outputs is phenomenal. So I strongly suggest that you get your hands on this microphone if you do this type of recording. Say you need a mic with multiple polar patterns that has all of the attributes of the classic German Austrian mics, because these people from Austrian Audio used to be at AKG. So it's got all of that DNA in it. but much, much more. It's a modern mic with vintage vibe and modern technology. And this isn't the only app/plugin they make. They make an app for the phone, but they make other plugins besides the Polar Designer. You just have to check it out. It's incredible, and the plugins are free. You can download them from their site, and you'll see what I mean. Talk about bang for your buck. I'm completely blown away. This is the only way I'm going to record acoustic instruments from now on. So I hope that was helpful. And if you have any questions, do reach out and let me know.